Hello. This is a test of the microphone in the helmet. Hopefully something's happening and we're actually catching audio this time without a crap ton of wind noise. I am going to try to ride from this volunteer fire department to Lake Harris and take you along with me. And see how the audio and video turns out. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the connectors, the little plastic bracket things that you screw things into. The swivels, even with the screws locked completely down, the thing still wants to swivel. So I don't know, we'll see. This mount just may not be the way to go for serious motovlogging. I'm not sure yet. Also, when you put your helmet on, it's best if you do the straps before you put your gloves on. My head's in so many different places right now, trying to get this kit sorted for vlogging, and trying to get something started here. But hopefully the audio and video quality on this will be good. I'm trying out the Hero 7 Black that I bought from a friend of mine named Mike. He sold me his Hero 7 Black kit with a microphone. So we're gonna try it out. Here we go. Gonna try to get to Lake Harris via Highway 42 before the battery runs out in the GoPro. This is the visor closed. How's the audio? The visor's closed. I'm now going to open the visor. This is the visor open. How is the audio? Audio check, check, check. Visor open. Visor closed. It's a beautiful day in North Carolina. Seen lots of motorcyclists out. The sport appears to be healthy, regardless of the naysayers and the doomsayers about motorcycling. I think a lot of people still enjoy motorcycling. I see plenty of them here in the North Carolina area anyway. It might be different in your neck of the woods. I am on Ball Road, which is a good place to have a ball. Nice little curvy roads here. I don't go nuts though, because there's the residents are right here connected to the road. Like, for instance, that guy mowing his yard could have come out into the road. But it's just a nice place to come for curves. A little bit of shade here. Also deer crossing down here, downhill. I've seen a couple of deer run across this road in the past. And I usually try to give a toot of the horn to give them a heads up. Like I said, I'm not going nuts. 58. Got some moo cows. This route is one of my favorites of all time. Going on Ball Road, apologies. This takes you to Highway 42, and Highway 42 between Fuquay Arena and Sanford, going east to west, is some of the best riding, in my opinion, that I've been in. And I'm coming up now on 72,000 miles in 4.5 years on motorcycles. I've done 2 cross-country trips, one on my trusty Tiger 1200 that I'm riding today, and another one on a BMW K1200 LT bike that I bought and fixed up specifically for the purpose of going across country. And I promptly sold it when I got back because I'm not a two motorcycle guy. I don't like to maintain two motorcycles or multiple motorcycles. I don't like to insure multiple motorcycles. I don't like to register multiple motorcycles, blah, 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 blah. I know some of you guys out there and girls have a harem of motorcycles, but that's not me. I like to find one that I really like to ride, and I like to explore all of its possibilities. I recently completed working as a service manager in a motorcycle shop, and one gentleman who is a customer of ours claimed 30 motorcycles. And I thought, where in the world do you keep 30 motorcycles as a normal human being? Well, clearly he was probably not a normal human being. He had to have a massive garage, or garages, plural, to keep 30 motorcycles. Just the registration costs alone. Not to mention the insurance, the upkeep. You know, you get into that kind of motorcycle collection, and that's what it really becomes. It becomes a collection because you're not riding 30 motorcycles. You're riding, you know, I would estimate 1 to 2 consistently, and the others are just kind of sitting there decaying. So anyway, to each his own. No judgments here. I'm not a multi-motorcycle guy. This is Highway 42 that we're on. We came here from Ball Road. And this is one of my favorite parts of 42. These trees grow over the road like this and make a really nice shade tunnel. In the fall, it's stunning through here because the trees light up red, orange, and yellow, and they really look good. It makes a very colorful tunnel that you can ride through. A buddy of mine and I rediscovered motorcycling together about 4.5 years ago now, almost 5 years ago. It was July of 2017, and he and I have been big fans of Highway 42, this route. This is where you'll see plenty of motorcyclists on a day like today. It's currently 83 degrees, sunny, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon here in North Carolina. This is JB Motorrad, the new vlogger on the scene. I get a little philosophical when I get on the motorcycle because you get time to think. You focus, obviously, and that drives a lot of extraneous crap out of your head because you're focusing on the road, you're focusing on your ride, you're focusing on your proficiency as a motorcyclist, or at least I hope you are. And I waited these 4.5 years to get a little more serious about recording my rides and trying to put together some content that people might find interesting. Time will tell. I am 55 years old as of this recording. I returned to motorcycling after more than 30 years away. And I was very concerned returning to motorcycling. I was afraid, plain and simple. There was a lot of fear around, you know, can I still do it? I'm not young, I'm not this, I'm not that. And once I decided to do it, and really go all in, not just kind of half-hearted, but really go all in, I found that there was very little that I had lost in terms of the skills. My first ride out on a motorcycle after 30 years of being away, the muscle memory was there. The clutch lever operation, the shift lever operation, the brakes, the throttle, It was all still there. It was really cool. I think it helped that I was such an avid bicyclist before I got back into motorcycling. So I already had a pretty good sense of balance on two wheels. I'd ridden my mountain bike thousands of miles probably in 10 years, and really enjoyed being out just cruising on my mountain bike. I didn't do anything technical. I just did greenways, paved greenways mostly, a little bit of gravel. But I really enjoy anything with two wheels. It makes me grin. Always has. And what I want to make my channel about primarily is the 50-something male who's returning to motorcycling or wanting to return to motorcycling. And you don't even have to be 50-something. It's just, you know, the older person. It doesn't have to be a male, but probably 9.5 times out of 10 it's going to be a male, not a female. The person who wants to return to motorcycling or wants to get into motorcycling for the first time but is afraid, with all the many stories we tell ourselves about what we can't do, and sort of life's beat you down and you feel a little bit conquered. Not conquering, but conquered. You feel a little bit subdued. I'm here to tell you, nobody was more beat than I was. When I got back into motorcycling, I was at the end of a 30-year tech career. I felt like I couldn't do anything right. Well, I cut all that loose. I got out of tech and took some time off, and I'm still taking time off. This is my next thing, is going to be talking about motorcycling, trying to build a community for people who want to get back into motorcycling but might be afraid. I'm here to tell you that it can be done, and I'm living proof of that. But you have to respect the two-wheel vehicle. You can't just come out here and expect to be young again and indestructible, where you can fall down and bounce right back up. I think if you respect the ride, you train yourself, you educate yourself on safety practices, and you routinely do that. You don't just say, okay, I'm done now, I'm good. I always tell people that I am an advanced beginner, and I will never be anything but an advanced beginner when it comes to motorcycling. As soon as you get complacent and you think that you're better than you actually are, that's when you get in trouble. So I don't intend to ever get complacent. I intend to remain an advanced beginner. We're out here at the lake now. This is Lake Harris, and this is another place I come to think and enjoy the water a little bit, looking out. Thought I might bring you out here for the ride. A lot of people on the water today. It's a nice day. They're parking way up here in the grass even. I'm not going to hang out there too long. Ranger station, actually Ranger home right there. So I'm going to head back to Cary, North Carolina. We'll go back on Highway 42. Go back the way we sort of came out. Only stay on 42 a little bit longer, going through the wonderful town of Holly Springs, North Carolina. I like to call it Howley Springs because of the gentrification that has taken place there. Holly Springs used to be an African American community, I think, and now it's full of a lot of Caucasians who've gentrified the place, built up huge neighborhoods, gigantic homes, property taxes have gone through the roof. And I think a lot of the people who were originally Holly Springs individuals have had to move out and move on to somewhere else. But they call that progress, I guess. I don't think I'd call it progress. I think we're kind of the antithesis of progress sometimes. We build neighborhood after neighborhood after neighborhood. We build very few roads. We crowd the schools, that sort of thing. It's just sprawl, urban sprawl, plain and simple. And North Carolina is going through a lot of that right now. Every town around here that used to be a small little town is now becoming much larger very quickly. I think police forces are struggling to keep up. Basic services are struggling to keep up. But here we are. I took part in that rush when I was a young man for 30 years. We chased the dollar, we chased opportunities, we went to where the money was. We bought the big house, we bought a lot of cars, went to Disney World a lot. And then all that, I decided to stop with the support of my spouse. She's always supported me, thankfully. And I've dialed it down a notch or 20. I'm no longer running on the digital, what I call the digital treadmill, which is the treadmill that you get on, and every year it wants more. And you give and you give and you give, and certainly you can make a lot of money on the digital treadmill. I made a lot of money on the digital treadmill over 30 years. Thankfully, my wife and I saved up a lot of money from those years, and we are living off of that treasury right now, so I don't have to go to work. I'm 55, as I mentioned earlier, and I tell everybody I'm semi-retired. Looking for the next thing, really. I don't want to not work. I want to find something to do with my time. And I've been inspired by a lot of YouTubers. I'd like to mention the Missenden Flyer from the UK, from England. I've been watching him for 4.5 years, basically since I started riding motorcycles. Sean of SRK Cycles and Bikes and Beards now. He was an inspiration to me, watching his review videos of motorcycles and watching how he grew his channel and his business was fascinating to me. He's a hard-working young man, and his heart and his head seem to be in the right place. Also, MC Rider, Kevin from MC Rider, I watched him from the beginning when I started motorcycling again from a safety and techniques perspective. Kevin's been my go-to guy for techniques. I think he calls it road skills and road strategy, which are two pillars that you have to keep in mind when you're out here on two wheels. You can get seriously hurt out here if you don't pay attention, if you don't respect the ride, if you don't think. You know, you see guys on sport bikes not wearing gear, kind of like those two that just went by. You know, like I said, when you're young, you think you're indestructible. You think you can go skidding across the road and you'll bounce right back up. When you're older and you've had some time and you've had some life under the bridge, you know better. Hopefully you know better anyway. you should try to know better and enjoy the later years. I mean, enjoy that wisdom, enjoy that experience that you built up. I wear all the gear all the time, the AT-GAT mantra, that's me. I wear a full-faced helmet. Hello, full-face helmet. I do not act the fool in curves, especially blind curves with lots of driveways and side roads connected to them. I know guys that get out here and lay down in that curve at 70 miles an hour, and I just don't get it. I don't. I'm sorry, but I just don't get it. I know it's thrilling and all that, but you can go to a track to be thrilled. Out here, you're going to kill somebody or yourself. Eventually, your chances will, you know, your luck will run out, and you're going to meet a stop dump truck or a deer, or God forbid, somebody's child out on a bicycle, and, you know, you're not going to be having a good day at that point. We're going to go back on Ball Road off of Highway 42. Actually, I'm gonna take you back down Ball Road to show you how much fun this road is. And again, you know, I don't go nuts. I don't know what the speed limit is here. I think it's 45 or 55. I tend to keep it around 50 to 60 miles an hour back here. Just one of the funnest roads I've ridden on. It's got these, at this time of day, lots of shade. It's nice and cool back here, even though it's 82 degrees by the thermometer here. It's just a nice little area back here, little neighborhoods, some farmland still that hasn't been developed yet. All road between Highway 42 and Cokesbury Road, I think is the name of the road that we're going to this time. Cokesbury. And there's some moo cows. This hill again, this hill and this curve are where I've had deer run out in front of me a couple of times, so I like to give a little toot on the horn, try to give them a heads up. Some of you might think that's silly. I'm sure you think it is, but if you haven't tried it, you should. I've had deer stop dead in their tracks when they hear the horn. Still not sure why the engine doesn't stop them in their tracks. Maybe it has something to do with what they hear and what they don't hear. I don't know. But the horn definitely makes them stop in place. I've had a handful of deer stop when they've heard my horn over the past 4.5 years. Did I mention I've got 72,000 miles in 4.5 years? So there's a little bit of experience behind these statements. Again, I'm still an advanced amateur. I just happen to have a lot of road experience. Here's Cokesbury Road. We're going to go left and head back up towards Highway 42. And boy, did I mention that this camera and microphone adapter and microphone and everything adds some weight to the chin of this helmet. My vlogging setup is a GoPro Hero 7 Black that I just bought used from a friend of mine named Mike. I have the GoPro ginormous microphone adapter, and have a little lavalier microphone clamped inside the helmet with my Dango Designs, not Django, Dango Designs. Django is a Python platform for web application development. Dango Designs has a clamp they make for GoPro mounting, and it just clamps to the chin part of your full-faced helmet. So that's what I'm using. You can see the Dango Designs orange thing in the mirror here. It's clamped to my helmet chin bar, and I've just got the lavalier microphone stuffed up inside here. Hopefully it's actually recording something. And I've got a GoPro housing case that houses the ginormous microphone adapter and the GoPro camera, so I don't have to find a home for that ginormous microphone adapter. Did I mention the microphone adapter for GoPro is ginormous? Yeah, maybe I did. Alright, now we're going to turn left onto Wade Stevenson Road. Another nice little road. Recently started to build up. These are new houses here as of the last couple of years. Over on the left, I suspect they're going to tear down more of these trees over here on the left and put up more houses. This is pretty characteristic of a North Carolina country road. If you ever want to come riding out in North Carolina, we have hundreds of these little roads. Most of them are in pretty good shape. The asphalt here is exceptionally good. It's not always this good, and you will occasionally run into the tar snake road from Hades. There will be tar snakes everywhere. You can look that up. Tar snaking is a way they try to repair cracks in roads around here, and in the summertime the tar will melt a bit, and when your motorcycle hits it, you become unstable. It feels very unsettling to go across a bunch of tar snakes because your bike sort of feels like it's slipping out from underneath you, but it's sub-second, and then you're back up. It just feels unnerving. So if you don't overreact to it, or react to it at all, basically, just let the bike do what it's going to do, you'll be fine. We're going to get back here on 42, Highway 42 in a moment. But we're getting into the part of Highway 42 that's not the fun motorcycle part. It's more just a drudge that you go through to get to the fun motorcycle road part. There it is, NC 42 and Wade Stevenson Road. We're going to go right here to head towards Duncan and eventually get into Holly Springs and head back home to Cary, North Carolina, that I call home right now. Been in Cary, North Carolina for about, it'll be 24 years this June. We worked hard and raised a family all in Cary, North Carolina for the most part. Coming from Tennessee originally, Middle Tennessee. And I've enjoyed a lot about North Carolina. We do have some of the best motorcycling roads in the country, I think. And I've been on a lot. I've been in Idaho, I've been in Utah, I've been in California, Colorado. And those are great roads, make no mistake about it. California has some amazing roads. Utah has some amazing roads. You should ride Highway 12 sometime in Utah from Panguitch up to Torrey, Utah. It's a long ride, but it's a fantastic road. I've ridden the $1 Million Highway in Colorado from Ouray down to Durango, Colorado. I've ridden Lolo Pass down from Missoula, Montana to, I think it's Granger, Idaho is where Highway 12 ends, somewhere around there. Kuski. Those Idahoans pronounce things funny out there. I call it Kuskaya, they call it Kuski. I've ridden some fantastic roads in Utah. I've ridden roads in California, out through the San Jacinto Mountains. San Jacinto? I don't know how to pronounce it. Basically going from Palm Desert, California to Oceanside, or Ocean View, California. Ocean View, I think. Oceanside? One of those two. And I still love giving the wave and getting the wave back from motorcyclists like that back there. It's a neat thing. Probably drives some car drivers nuts, wondering what are those freaks doing. It's part of the community. I enjoy it. I participate in it. I will always stop for a fellow motorcyclist on the side of the road, hopefully seeing the thumbs up from them that everything's okay. And if it's not, I'll stop to offer whatever assistance I can. And I've had people do the same for me. Even if I'm just stopping, taking a break on the side of the road, they'll slow down and give me the thumbs up, and I'll return it. And then they know they can go about their day. Or I could say, you know, thumbs down, and they would probably stop and offer whatever help they could. That's the way it is. I really enjoy that. And as humans, aren't we all just looking for community? Aren't we all looking for connection? Aren't we all looking for sharing and learning from one another? That's kind of what it boils down to. With the COVID virus changing the world, basically starting, you know, in late 2019 and early 2020, and certainly March was the epicenter explosion of everything. I think March of 2020 was when it all just really came out how bad it was, and everybody went to working from home, no more in the office, that sort of thing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna skip going to Holly Springs, and I'm gonna take you with me to Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. We'll go to Fuquay and see how that is. So, on the topic of being a proficient motorcyclist, one of the tenets of security and skill and strategy is having a 2-second minimum 2-second following distance from the car in front of you. So you pick up an object ahead, and once that car, a stationary object ahead, once that car passes that object, you can count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, or 1 motorcycle, 2 motorcycle, and you should not pass that same stationary object before you reach 2 motorcycle completely. I much prefer a 3-second following distance just for that extra safety. By the way, vlogging and riding and being safe is harder than it looks. It takes a lot of focus to keep talking and try to be somewhat interesting, I guess, as you're riding along while you're trying to be a proficient motorcyclist, and be careful and execute good road strategy as you go down the road at, you know, anywhere from 40 to 65 miles an hour. This is why I waited so long to do it. I know there are people that buy a motorcycle. Well, I've seen them on YouTube. I think they bought a motorcycle, and the next day they bought a GoPro camera and a helmet mount, and they set off and just start broadcasting, for lack of a better term these days. And that's fine. You know, if you can do that, that's great. You're a talented individual. You're also very much in the minority of people in terms of concentration skill, I would say. It takes a lot to be a proficient motorcyclist and be able to vlog while you're going down the road. So I chose to get a lot of experience under my belt before I would start strapping on the camera and trying to create content that I would share on YouTube. On the 2 motorcycle trips that I've done across country, I have recorded some video, but I did no microphone in the helmet. I did none of that. It's all just raw video with a lot of wind noise. It's a lot of, but the views are stunning, and I hope to someday add some good audio to those clips and get rid of the wind noise and have some really interesting, beautiful footage. I think if I can put some of that to music, for instance, it would be interesting to watch. It's going to be something I do over time. I'm teaching myself video editing as well. Currently using DaVinci Resolve video editing software. I'm using the free version right now just as I teach myself. The hardest part so far in video editing has been just learning the vocabulary. Creative types in video editing, just like anything else, it has its own vocabulary, and as you're trying to educate yourself, you have to learn the basic vocabulary and try to take that with you. Probably going to fill up this memory card on this trip, but I'm going to keep talking, see what kind of video this makes. This is just me practicing, trying to do some good audio while I ride versus having to go back and do a voiceover to the video. I don't know, it seems more real when you have the person talking in their helmet versus talking into a microphone and then overlaying that track later on. This is Fuquay Arena, not the downtown part. Downtown's back the other way. I'm heading towards Sunset Lake Road to go back home to Cary, North Carolina via Holly Springs Road. The journey here for me, and I'm talking about getting back to motorcycling, has been a long one. Over 15 years ago, I think it's been 17 years ago now, I got my motorcycles learner's permit, and I was going to start motorcycling again 17 years ago. Again, this is 2022. But being the sole provider in my home, financially, having a really high-stress job, I worked at Microsoft at the time. I let my license expire, my learner's permit expire. I did not choose to get the motorcycle, and it kind of came and went. Like, I wasn't really bent out of shape that I didn't get the motorcycle and I didn't follow that desire at the time. I didn't think it was going to be very responsible of me to take up motorcycling when I'm the sole provider financially for my family. I thought, well, what if something happens? What if I get hurt? What if I get injured? What if I get disabled? Or, you know, God forbid, you know, motorcyclists do get in accidents that cause death. So, and all these things ran through my head, and I said, well, I better not do that. And I didn't. I went back to work dutifully, went back to work, and continued to chase the dollar, continued to chase the promotion, continued to chase the bonus every year. You know, in a lot of ways, we're like lab rats running around getting these rewards. And, you know, some people love that. Some people dig it. Some people think, well, at the end, the prize is mine because I'll have all this money in the bank and I'll have a giant 401k or I'll have a giant pension. And I don't know. I thought like that for many years. And then I watched a couple of friends of mine that were my age at the time in their late 40s, early 50s. Over this time period, I watched two of them die of brain cancer. Both of them were 47 years old, for crying out loud. And I watched a couple of friends of mine in their early 50s have heart attacks. Both survived, thankfully. Another friend, and he was also 47 or 48, he had a stroke, for crying out loud. And, you know, thankfully, again, he survived. He had no brain damage, or he didn't lose any of his abilities, thankfully. He's a talented photographer and a good friend who also rides a Triumph Tiger. RT, you know who I'm talking about. And I decided that I would follow my passion of being on two wheels again. And I didn't see it as irresponsible. Although this guy, I don't know if he's ever going to go. I didn't see it as irresponsible. I saw it as doing something for me. So with all the kids out of the house, with my daughter still going to school, post high school, going to university, I decided to follow it. I decided to go in boots and all, as the Australians would say, or maybe it's the Brits, maybe it's the both, I don't know. I've always heard Australians talk about boots and all, and I went in full tilt. I got the motorcycle, I took the MSF safety course. I highly recommend you do that. Even if you're afraid of motorcycling, you should take the MSF basic rider course. It takes you from, this is a motorcycle, to basically qualifying for your DMV road test in America, at least. Yes, I know you Europeans, we have ridiculously lax abilities necessary to get our full motorcycle license here in the States. You know, we can debate that all day long. I do think it should be stricter, as many of you do, but it is what it is. And in America, you don't have to, you know, ride for how many ever years it is, 1 year or 2 years on a 125cc bike, or maybe it's 250cc's. Here in America, you can go to this basically 3-day course total, 4 hours on a Thursday, 4 hours on a Friday, and all day Saturday, Sunday on the range in a parking lot riding the actual motorcycle. You can go from that to buying a 180 horsepower motorcycle. You can do all that within a week if you wanted to. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, it's possibly irresponsible, but it is what it is. So I jumped in boots and all, and I rode and I rode and I rode, and I found that I loved riding. It was very therapeutic for me to get out on the motorcycle and experience the thrill of being on two wheels again, the possibilities of being on two wheels again. And within 2.5 years, I was conducting my first cross-country motorcycle tour, which took me on my Triumph Tiger 1200 that I'm riding now. It took me from my home in Fuquay-Varina. I lived there for a spell. It took me from there all the way to Boise, Idaho, via Nebraska and Wyoming, and then down through Utah, Nevada, Arizona, to Palm Desert, California, over to Oceanside, California, and then I rode all the way back to Wilmington, North Carolina, for a total of 8,500 and I think it was 6 miles, 8,500 miles in 42 days. And I took 9 days off in Idaho to visit my sister. So I had a lot of downtime in the middle. I think it was 8 or 9 days I was in Boise, Idaho. So I rode a lot of miles per day, if you do the math. it comes out to be a pretty high number, somewhere on the order of about 370 to 420 miles per day, something like that. And that's a lot of miles on a bike like this. This is not a Gold Wing, this is not a giant Harley, this is not a giant BMW touring motorcycle. This is an adventure bike. It's meant to go just about anywhere you want to go within reason. It is still a 560 pound motorcycle. You can do the math for the kilograms. I think it's like 240, 200, something like that, 238 kilograms. I don't know. But I do know it's about 560 wet. So doing all those miles on a lighter motorcycle like this, especially out west in America, you're going to get blown around a lot. There's a lot of wind out west that has lots of free open range to build up, and it gets very windy and you do get blown around a lot. And I can tell you it's a huge difference to be riding a giant BMW K1200 LT versus riding this motorcycle, the Tiger 1200, when it comes to the wind, because I've done both. And the K1200 LT being an 820 pound motorcycle wet, holds up to the wind a whole lot better than this one. So I've enjoyed motorcycling. I've enjoyed my return to motorcycling. I challenge myself to be a proficient motorcyclist. I don't ride with people who are irresponsible motorcyclists. I'll know within a few minutes whether or not I want to ride with you again, based on how crazy you actually want to get. I have foregone riding with a buddy of mine because he only has 2 speeds, stop and oh my god, we have to go defuse a bomb. So I don't do that. When he did 105 miles an hour through a 35 mile an hour neighborhood zone, and bragged about it at the destination, I knew it was time for me to move on. I would never ever catch up with him, nor would I try. So I've enjoyed trying to be proficient, trying to avoid incidents. You'll hear people talk about, man, I went out for a ride today and then 4 people, you know, did this, this, and this. And I'll echo what MC Ryder says, that if your stories revolve around you having near-miss incidents with other traffic around you, you probably need to look at your road strategy and your road skills for that matter. You're probably overriding your skills. You're probably just being irresponsible on your bike, and that leads you to having encounters with other people on the road. You're responsible for your safety, and I take a lot of pride in saying that I've only had a few near-miss incidents since I started riding again 4.5 years ago, and now again coming up on 72,000 miles on 2 wheels. I'm very proud of the lack of incidents that I've had in that time. It's been a challenge for me to keep it that way. You know, somebody starts tailgating you, screw them. Let them, you know, just get out of the way. Let them go around you. Wave them around you. You don't have to play that game, you know. Don't get aggressive with cars in traffic. You're gonna lose. You're 2 wheels. You're 25% maybe what they weigh. You might be 15 to 20% of what they weigh. You're going to lose. So, and you can go watch YouTube. You can go search for, you know, motorcycle road rage, and you'll find plenty of, you'll find plenty of footage out there of the fool who chases down a car and tries to do stupid stuff to the car and winds up wrecking him or herself. It's just silly to me. So don't do that. Choose your friends wisely. If you're dead set on being a group rider, and I use quotes around that, Choose your group wisely. You know, if you're 50 years old and you find yourself in a group of guys who are constantly grinning at their prowess, and they're 22, 25 years old, and they're acting the fool. I'm not saying all 22 to 25 year old males act the fool. That usually involves some sort of feminine influence being around. But you know what I mean. I mean, you know when you're with your people, you know when you're with your tribe. And you should always know that when it comes to riding as well. You should be able to select your tribe for riding and not try to fit in. There's a saying called ride your ride, ride your own ride. And you should ride your own ride. What that means is you ride the way you want to ride, regardless of what's going on around you. You should ride your ride and enjoy it. Don't feel pressured. Don't feel less than adequate if you don't keep up with a group of people who are flying around curves irresponsibly. You know, just get out and ride. I liken it to in the Peanuts cartoon show called A Charlie Brown Christmas. At the end of the show, you know, Charlie Brown's been harassed and harangued about his choice of Christmas tree. He's been called the blockhead. He's been called an idiot. He's been called all kinds of stuff. And in the end, he wraps the tree up. He picks it up, takes it home, and sets it outside of Snoopy's doghouse, and he smiles at it. And he's happy with what he's got. That's kind of what this means to me. Anyway, when you ride your own ride, is you're happy with you. You're comfortable inside your own skin. You're not trying to be something that you're not. You're going to ride the way you want to ride. You're going to ride the way it makes you happy. You're going to ride the way your skill will allow you to ride. That's the important part. And I also encourage you, if you're older, getting back into motorcycling or getting started to begin with, study. YouTube is full of, I almost said the world of YouTube is full of talented individuals, far more talented than I am, at creating road skill, road strategy, road techniques videos. And you should be watching those daily. You should be taking 30 minutes a day minimum and watching something that edifies you when it comes to your motorcycling proficiency or your skill set, your strategy set, your mindset, all of that. Go watch the things. Watch them multiple times. I have thousands and thousands of hours of liked videos that I've watched.